Intuiting others, right? Intuiting what others are feeling, what they're needing, what's going on for them in the moment. That's one characteristic of teams where they were highly productive, high-performing teams, and they found that there was emotional safety there, and there was two reasons why. Yep. So intuiting others, and the other one is feeling heard. Okay. So people were feeling heard, and they also found that people were intuiting each other. You with me? Thank you, Georgina. Georgina's onto me today. So now I want to share with you how to do that. Okay. So when people feel heard, when you feel heard, it's a space of deep respect, isn't it? Whether we agree with each other or not is not the point. But if people have the experience of feeling heard and gotten, that's a big deal. And I really learned that from an instinctual place. It was really embedded in me, in my full being, when I was working with offenders and victims and facilitating conversations between them. Because when people were bringing really strong emotion and they came into that space not even wanting to even be anywhere near each other, and through the process of that was facilitated, for them to actually experience feeling heard was astounding, and what that then made available for them in their lives, but then in their relationship with each other. And whether that was a relationship that would ever went anywhere, but a relationship in that moment of forgiveness. You've hurt me, you've committed a crime against me, and now I feel heard that you've heard me, and I've heard you as a human being. And there was amazing miracles in that room. So when we feel heard, there's things that are possible that we don't even imagine could be possible when we're not feeling that way. Yeah. All right. So at each level, the 3 skills for you are in moving towards these 2 things. Yes. Because this here, as we do both of these things, we create emotional safety. You with me? Okay, cool. So the first one for me is being authentic. So as a leader, it's about being authentic, okay? Being real, being courageous, being vulnerable. Like Matt in the study shared about his stage 4 cancer. Now, it might not be for you sharing something about your well-being, but it might be something that you share about what's happening for you at work, or where you might feel like there's an edge of vulnerability that you feel that you could share with your team. So especially in these times when we don't have all the answers, maybe you could say, I don't know the answer here. What if we explored it and worked it out together? Yeah. So being authentic now, as a disclaimer here, being authentic doesn't mean just blurting out everything, or being vulnerable just doesn't mean saying everything to everybody. It requires discernment. Yeah. But being authentic doesn't give us permission to just kind of like blurt out all over everyone. Being authentic means being real and being courageous. Yeah. And so the 2 things here are role modeling mistakes. Yeah, role modeling mistakes, and sharing yourself. Those are the 2, what I would say, distinctions in this model of being authentic. So have a think about, where are you role modeling mistakes, or where could you role model mistakes more? Because as we talked about earlier, if you are willing to role model mistakes, then others will feel like it's okay to try something new, to share something that might sound a bit not quite right in their mind, but once they share it, it's really exciting. People welcome it. So if you're willing to role model mistakes, people will be feeling like they can try something new and maybe make a mistake, and share yourself more. Okay, so that's being authentic. The next skill, so this is skill 1, right? Skill 2, and this is about creating emotional safety. The next skill is holding space. You may have heard me say that before, and this is, holding space is one of the most important skills as leaders that we could develop, but it's very, very rare in leadership. But as we move forward in this emotionally intelligent new way of leadership going forward, which is a non-negotiable anymore, holding space is really, really important, okay? And I'll talk to you about that. So the first one is listening. Develop your listening. What are you listening for? And the next one is high quality questions or asking questions. So these are your skills that I want you to be developing. So when you're listening, it's about, are you being present? And I think, was it Tracy, you talked before about not being present. And also there's a lot about listening, but listening for the background concern. And so remember I talked to you before about separating the behavior from the person and getting into the habit of thought rather than reacting to the behavior. Listening for the background concern is really important. Now, just a little bit more on that. So when someone's coming at me and I'm reacting to what they're saying, I notice myself triggered. Can I take myself out of the trigger and listen for the background concern? What's driving that behavior? If I could listen for that, then I can ask a different question rather than try and push back on what's triggering me. And this is a huge transformational moment for many leaders I work with when they get the distinction here between reacting to what's coming at them or trying to fix that or give them the answer or change that to what's being curious about what's the background concern, what's driving that. And if I speak to that and ask a question relating to that, so could unlock something new or will unlock something new. That will unlock a whole new conversation and that will have people feel emotionally safe. Yeah, you with me? And asking questions. So asking questions that you don't know the answer to. So this is about supporting people to have their voice and asking questions you don't know the answer to. Being courageous enough to ask something that you have no idea what the answer is and just be in that space of curiosity with people. Of course, Fiona, yes, you can. Well, yes, you can include how you learn from those mistakes. This is a very good question, Fiona. Thank you. But here's the thing. If we're only willing to share our mistakes once we've learned and grown and fixed them, it's not really the full vulnerability, is it? Can we actually be okay with failing in front of people rather than only sharing it? And I'm not sure if this is what you mean, but that's how I'm reading it. Only sharing it once we've learned. Because if we can actually share it where we're in the moment, now we need to use discernment around that and what's appropriate in the workspace. But if we can be open with, you know, yes, I've made a mistake here and I'm not sure what the answer is yet and we are doing our best to fix it, and I really love your input. That's a different conversation to, yes, I made this mistake a month ago and this is what I've learned and now I fixed it. So there's a depth of courage and vulnerability required when we're willing to be in that space with people together. So I hope that helps, Fiona. And then the last one here, the third skill, is balancing accountability with compassion. So usually we'll have be good at one or the other, or we'll have a preference for, you know, being quite good at accountability or quite good at, you know, bringing that nurture, compassion energy, but we need to balance that, okay? And so part of that is acknowledging the contributions people make, providing positive and critical feedback in a way that empowers people and builds trust. So that could be, you know, feedback like on the go, what I call dynamic feedback, or it could be more formal feedback. Yeah. And this is also about developing your coaching skills. So leader as coach, manager as coach, so that you can have people run with you and build a momentum together in partnership. So this part here, this third skill, is about developing these things so that you're aware of when you might slip into more nurture energy, and that's not really helping people, it's trying to fix things for them, or you're switching into the accountability, the overbalancing the accountability, and you're kind of disconnecting from people and maybe just expecting them to get on with it. So understanding where your preference is and see if you can balance it out a little bit when it's helpful to bring more to your team. Yeah. How do we identify the background driver of the person coming at you? Kamini, thank you. So it's the background concern. Yeah, background driver is a good one as well. And so hang on, let me just finish this. And then intention, so this is about intention. Yep. And curiosity. So those are the two that relate to balancing accountability and compassion. So if you see here, this one here, and I'm using red only because it stands out. Feeling heard, these three things: share yourself, because when you share yourself, has people feel heard as a human being as well. Yeah, I've got that going on too, or I feel like that as well. Or if they share that, I feel like I share this now. Listening, obviously people feeling heard, and intention. The intention around who am I being has people feel heard. Understanding who I'm being allows me to show up in a space that allows people to feel heard. And then this one is about intuiting others. So role modeling mistakes, letting people know it's okay to be how they are. Yeah. Asking questions, so giving people space to have their voice. One of the distinctions in the study was about people feeling like that they could speak their voice, helping people find their voice. And then curiosity, being really curious about where people are at. So that helps us intuit others. So can you see that we're developing these through each of these three steps, we're developing these skills, and that's helping us grow emotional safety. And I'm calling them being authentic, holding space, balancing accountability with compassion. Cool. I love this. All right. Oh, 4 minutes. Excellent. Thank you, Georgina. So I want you to circle now. Where is the bit that you want to work on? Where do you know that you need to work? In one of these things, or it might be in a whole skill, or it might be in a whole axis. Have a look at where it is that you want to work.